Senate condemns President Buhari's decision to immortalize MKO Abiola. And in business, federal government earmarks $652 million to reactivate the Ajaokuta steel plant. And on the foreign scene, DR Congo approves usage of 5 new drugs in the fight against Ebola virus. Hello and welcome to Superscreen Flagship News, broadcasting to you live from Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Olamide Onkame. Thanks for joining us. The Senate has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to mandate the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to declare the results of the June 12, 1993 presidential election believed to have been won by the late MKO Abiola. This follows a point of order raised by Senator representing Ekiti South, Abiodun Olujimi, where she also called the due entitlements to recognized and accorded to the winner and the family of the June 12 presidential election, which was unanimously agreed by the House.
President Muhammadu Buhari has shown clearly what a democrat he is. There is no history that could link 29th of May to actual democratic evolution of Nigeria better than June 12. That day, June 12, was a very important day in the history of the political evolution of Nigeria. The significance, Mr. President, for the first time, Nigerians elected candidates based on the quality of the candidates only, by not looking at their religious persuasion, their ethnic backgrounds. This is what Nigeria should be.
The results of that election was never announced. This is the time for the results to be properly announced by INEC, because government is a continuum, and declare President MKO Abiola as a president. Mr. President, if and when that is done, there has to be reparation of all his entitlements.
My angle to this is the honor that was also bestowed on late Gani Fawemi, who was from my state and also my constituent. Everybody knew how greatly this man fought for democracy in this country. And for Mr. President to recognize him along with the winner of that election and his vice made those of us who come from Ondo State very, very happy.
There may have to be an amendment of the Constitution. I also want to add that it will also be necessary for the executive to quickly bring to the National Assembly an amendment to the act that for the Honors Act, so because it says that there cannot be any posthumous award. Now that they have jumped the gun to do posthumous awards, it will be necessary for us to quickly amend that act.
Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu called for a constitution amendment to accommodate the June 12 as the new Democracy Day.
I support the proposal of Senator Olujimi that the results of that election need to be declared, because it's a mere perception that they won the election. INEC has to announce the results for us to know the figures, and let it be on record that Abiola was president and that Kingibe was vice president. It is good for us to have that record. But having said this, finally, Mr. President, there are 2 legal issues involved. The 9th of May remains the day the president will be inaugurated and will take his oath of office. If you are moving from 29th of May to 12th of June, it means we have to amend this constitution. Otherwise, we'll be extending the tenure of a president beyond what the Constitution contemplates. So we have to advise the President properly so that we don't get into a jam when we get to next year. So it is important at this point we put in true perspective that the issue of the tenure of office of the President is from the 29th of May 2015 to 29th of May 2019.
Chief M.K. Abiola, his contributions, what he had been through, his revelations for many years, it was long overdue. The good intention, I think, is what we should recognize. There might be imperfection in how it was implemented, but let us, for today, take the good intention. Whether the award is right in process, to constitutional amendment, to recognition of Ambassador Banagana Kinkigbe as his position as Vice President, the process of making June 12 a public holiday. In the spirit of all those imperfections, we should not allow that to cloud the fact that Chief MK, and let us leave it as the fact of what Chief MK will represent to all of us.
You will recall that President Muhammadu Buhari had directed that the nation's Democracy Day would henceforth hold on June the 12th. And Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for declaring June 12 as the new Democracy Day. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Abib Aruna, Governor Ambode said the development is a historic and symbolic moment in the nation's political trajectory. Governor Ambode, who said the move does not only show the president as a man of history and character, but also confirms that the heroes of democracy did not die in vain. And President Muhammadu Buhari has met with security chiefs for the third time in 1 week. Speaking to journalists, the Minister of Defense, Mansour Dan Ali, said the meeting is only a review of issues discussed with the president during their last meeting. At the last meeting, the president appraised the security situation in the country, and on Monday, the president and vice president held separate meetings with security chiefs. And both meetings, you will recall, were held behind closed doors. Although the IGP had refused to disclose details of the meeting, which lasted for over 2 hours to journalists, it was believed to be in connection with the ongoing case involving Senate President Bukola Saraki and the Nigeria police. And the Senate has confirmed the appointment of Justice Abdul Kafarati as the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court in accordance with the provision of Section 250, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The confirmation follows the adoption of a report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters. Presenting the report, Chairman of the committee, David Umaru, said the committee screened the nominee to ascertain his suitability for the appointment. Umaru added that the committee was satisfied with the nominee's exposure, experience and performance, as well as qualification, and recommended him for further confirmation. The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has asked the Federal High Court in Abuja to quash the Senate's May 9, 2018 declaration of him as an enemy of democracy and unfit to hold public office within and outside Nigeria. Idris commenced the process of suing the Senate and its President, Bukola Saraki, by obtaining the court's leave and the order permitting him to file a substantive action for a judicial review of the actions leading to the resolution passed by the Red Chamber. Justice John Shaw, in granting the leave to Idris, said he is convinced that the applicant has shown sufficient interest in the issues raised. The judge granted the leave shortly after the Inspector General's lawyer, Alexis Inyo SAN, moved a former expert application in respect on Thursday. An ad hoc committee headed by the chairman, Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, David Umaru, has been set up to investigate the veracity of the report made by Amnesty International on the plight of women. The Amnesty International had alleged in its reports that the military raped, tortured and abused women in the internally displaced persons camp, IDPs. The resolution was reached during plenary after Senator Shehu Sani raised the point of order. Sani asked the Senate to open an investigation into the report, which he says has the capacity to undermine Nigeria's integrity and its fight against terrorism.
A report by Amnesty International is not just a report that we should dismiss as a report by either the opposition or any partisan political group. It's a report that is taken very seriously by international organizations and especially the United Nations. If this report finds itself on the table of world leaders, it is a report of ourselves. And then what have we done about it? Simply to issue a 2-paragraph statement and said it never happened, or the amnesty is working to undermine our government, or simply the amnesty is another arm of the opposition of this country. I think we are not getting it right. This report, for which I will offer to request that amnesty present or make it available for every senator here to see, contains all that we need to ask questions. Ask questions on how this war is being prosecuted. As a country that is faced with an insurgency that is undermining our peace, our unity, our stability as a country, we have a duty to appreciate the sacrifices of men and women from the armed forces and other security agencies that are making the ultimate sacrifice of giving up their lives in order for us to be in peace.
The committee to report the outcome of their findings to the House on a later date. Coming up tonight on Superscreen Flagship News, federal government earmarks $652 million to reactivate the Ajaokuta steel plant. That's on the business scene. Details of these and many more stories coming your way after the break. Stay with us.
Before they come, they're supposed to, give us some information, notice, at least maybe a week or so. There was nothing like that.
Hunger is everywhere in Nigeria. People are dying every day, but Nigeria government are keeping quiet. Housemen are killing people. Why?
It's not what we expected because of these old men that are leading us, and you people know, you are aware that these people are not the right people to lead us. These kind of people that are leading us here are people of black mind. They just care about themselves and their family.
You are affecting my village. Let me use grass. If I call it use grass, I'm not to mistake. The other place where they build a shop, call it plaza. Say each shop there are 4 million naira. So I don't have the money, so I have to leave. If you plan to get a tribal mark, it takes a lot of pain, but after some time, you enjoy it. No, we experience hold up now during the construction time. Then after some time, we start enjoying it.
The way they are doing the construction is too slow. It's too slow. The construction is too slow. They should stop the construction and make sure people go into their businesses and do their businesses.
Welcome back to Superscreen Flagship News, and now for some business stories. The Ministry of Mines and Steel Development says $652 million has been estimated to reactivate equipment and machines at the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited. Minister of State Abubakar Buhari, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja, said the estimated amount is part of recommendations contained in the technical audit reports presented to him. You will recall that the federal government had set up the technical audit to find out how much was required to complete the steel plant. Buhari said following completion of the work by the technical audit, the next line of action is for the ministry to appoint transaction advisors to advise the federal government on the best strategy to adopt regarding the operation of the steel plant. He commended the Nigerian Society of Engineers for recommending capable engineers that conducted the technical audit. The African Development Bank, AFDB, and partners have launched a program aimed at preparing 9 million Africans, including Nigerians, for high-paying employment opportunities. The program, known as Coding for Employment, was launched at the African Innovation Summit in Kigali, Rwanda. The partners in the program include Rockefeller Foundation, Microsoft, and Facebook. The bank said the new program prepares Africa's youth for tomorrow's job and unleashes the next generation of young digital innovators from the continent. By 2025, the Jobs for Youth in Africa initiative will equip 50 million youths with employable skills and create 25 million jobs in agricultural sector, information and communications technology, and other key industries across Africa.